Hari Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryan Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Suravira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambhrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kvanantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Barahavatam Samasita Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kalasadvana Malya Vamshi Ratna Gadam Pranaya Keli Kalavilasam Shyamam Tribanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakaledriya Vriti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayo Ratapi Manaso Muni Pungavanam Sopyasti Yat Prapadasimnya Vichintya Tattve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopi Yastau Rachaitum Jagadanda Kotim Yachaktirasti Jagadanda Chayaya Danda Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manujastataiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusha Shaktayameva Nigama Pratitastu Vanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabis Tabirya Eva Nicharupa Taya Kalabi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gunasvarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Shukalani Amena Tishtan Nanavataram Akarodbhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Kotishvashesha Vasudhati Vibhuti Binam Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham tamaham bhajami. Maya hi yasya jagadanda satani sute traigunya tadvishaya veda vitayamana sattva valambi parasattvam vishuddha sattvam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Ananda chinmaya rasatmataya manasu ya praninam pratipalam smaratam upetya Lilaitena bhuvanani jayati ajashram Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Golokanam nijadam nitale chatasya Devi mahesha haridama suteshu teshu Te te prabhava nichaya vihitaschayena Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Srishti stiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka Chayeva yasya bhuvanani vibhati durga Ich anurupam api yasya chachishtate sa Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Kshiram yatada divikara vishesha yogat Sanjayate nahi tata pritakasti heto Ya sambhutam apitata samupaiti karyat Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Deeparchideva hidasantaramabhupetya Deepayate vivrita hetu samana dharma Yastadrikeva hicha vishnutaya vibhati Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Ya karanarnava jale bhajati sma yoga Nidram ananta jagadanda saroma kupa Adara shakti mabalambya param swamurtim Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Yasyaika nishvasita kalam atavalambya Jivanti loma vilaja jagadantanata Vishnur mahansa ihayasya kala vishesho Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Vasvanyatasma sakaleshu nijeshu teja Sviyam kiyat prakatayatyapi tattva tatra Brahmaya esha jagadanda vidhana karta Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Yat padapala vayugam vinidaya kumbha Dvandve pranama samaye saganadiraja Vignan vihantum alamasya jagatrayasya Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Agnir mahi gaganamambu maruddishascha Pulastatatma manasiti jagatrayani Yasmad bhavanti vibhavanti vishanti yamcha Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Ya chakshuresha savita sakalagrahanam Raja samasta suramurti rashesha teja Yasya gyaya brahmati sambrita kala chakro Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Dharmo tapapa nichaya shutayastapamsi Brahmadikita patagavadayascha jiva Yadha tamatra vibhava prakata prabhava Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Yastvendra gopa matavendra mahusva karma Bandhanurupa palabhajana matanoti Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Yam krodha kama sahaja pranayadi biti Vatsalya moha guru gaurava sevya bhavai Saichintya tasya sadrishim tanuma purete Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Shriya kanta kanta parama purusha kalpataravo Druma bhumischintamani ganamai toyamamritam Kataganam natyam gamanam apivamshi priya sakhi Chittanandam jyoti param apitat ashvadyam apicha Sayatra kshirabdi shavati surabhibhyascha sumahan Ime shardakyo va vrajati nahi yatrapi samaya Vajashveta dvipam tamaham iha gulokamitiyam Vidantaste shantakshiti viralachara katipayi Shishi Brahma Samhita ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we continue with the prayers of Lord Brahma. Text 39, the Lord's expansions. Ramadimurtishu kala niyamena tishtan nanavatara makarod bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna svayam samabhavat parama pumanyo govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, who, though appearing in the worlds in eternal forms such as Rama and Narasimha with their characteristic powers, also appears personally in the supreme form of Krishna with the most attractive pastimes. The Govindam prayers follow the same overall pattern as verses 1 to 28, from the description of the subtle spiritual plane working down gradually to the gross material realm. So far, we have heard about Govinda, his beautiful form, inconceivable qualities, and sublime pastimes, as well as the transcendental qualifications required to exercise them, to experience them. Now we hear of Govinda's avatars, his sojourns to the unique quadrantal corner of creation. Sometimes Govinda also appears in the material world through one of his expansions. That is expressed in this verse, Digdarshani Tika 539. Although this verse is about all the avatars, of special mention are the Paravasta forms, who originate from beyond the Paravyoma, the realm beyond the Viraja. His quote, his subjective portions as the avatars, Rama, etc., appear from Vaikunta, and his own form Krishna manifests himself with Vraja in this world, from Goloka. The underlying sense is that Krishna Chaitanya, identical with Krishna himself, also brings about by his appearance the direct manifestation of Godhead himself. Brahma Samhita 539 purport. The above mentioned descents are the most human in character, exhibiting superior degrees of sweetness to the Avesha forms. So here it is said that Krishna appears in this world through his different avatars, and although he is present in each and every avatar, he himself, Krishna Svayam Samabhavat Parama Pumanyo, also comes sometimes in this world. And Acharyas are explaining that this verse particularly mentions the Paravasta forms of the Lord. Who are those forms?
These are Krishna, Ramachandra, Nrsimha, and Lord Chaitanya.
And Lord Chaitanya. So four forms. Why? Because they are practically non-different from the original form of the Lord Krishna. And they may manifest less of the opulences, of the qualities of the Lord, but if necessary, they can manifest practically all the qualities of the Lord. As here it was explained, these are the avatars of the Lord which are coming from the other side of the Viraja river, so they are coming from the spiritual world. Distinct from other avatars like Narayana or Mahavishnu, and so on and so on. Text 40. Brahman, the boundary wall of Vaikuntha. Interesting that Brahman is described as the wall around Vaikuntha.
The fence.
The fence around Vaikuntha. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, whose powerful form radiates an effulgence known as the undifferentiated, unlimited, all-encompassing Brahman, which is completely distinct from its powers displayed in unlimited planets throughout billions of universes. Until now, Brahma's prayer have concerned themselves mostly with Bhagavan realization of the Lord. This verse and the next, on the other hand, deal with Brahman aspect. We learn how Brahman, the cherished goal of the Jnanis, is but a mere expansion of Krishna's personal magnificence. We have quote from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The mundane universe created by Maya is one of the infinite external manifestations accommodating space, time, and gross things. The impersonal aspect of Godhead, the non-differentiated Brahman, is far above this principle of mundane creation. But even the non-differentiated Brahman is only the external effulgence emanating from the boundary wall of the transcendental realm of Vaikuntha, displaying the triquadrantal glory of Govinda. Brahma Samhita 540 purport. Jiva Goswami here explains how the words Dharma and Dharmi are derived from these personal and impersonal archetypes. Though personal and impersonal aspects are actually only one form, by manifestation of the Lord with qualities, the form called Govinda, who is the possessor of various attributes, Dharmi, appears. By a manifestation of the Lord devoid of qualities, his form as his attribute, Dharma, called Brahman, appears. This Brahman is like the halo around the moon. So it's interesting, sometimes it is mentioned that Brahman is the effulgence coming directly from the form of the Lord. Or in other words, he is the impersonal aspect of the Lord himself, but also just a little ago it was mentioned that also Brahman is the effulgence coming from the boundary wall of the whole Goloka plane. Of course, there is no contradiction.
Yeah, the origin is again
Yes.
the ultimate origin of this light is also again the body.
Even the light of the whole Goloka is also coming from the source is Krishna at the end of the day. So there is no contradiction. But just interesting how Shastra give slightly different angle, and actually this opens our mind, helps us to understand the topic in a more broad way.
From different points of view.
Yes. Considering Lord Brahma's position in the universe, He holds statement here, his bold statement here, that Brahman originates from Krishna and not vice versa, deals a heavy blow to Mayavadi philosophy. Should anyone dare to dispute the authenticity or veracity of this text, Jiva Goswami has no shortage of scriptural quotations which corroborate its conclusions. In 11th canto, the Lord enumerates his powers. I am form, taste, aroma, touch and sound, false ego, the Mahat Tattva, earth, water, fire, air and sky, the living entity, material nature, the modes of goodness, passion and ignorance, and the impersonal Brahman, Param. All these items, along with knowledge of their individual symptoms and the steady conviction that results from this knowledge, represent me. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:16-37. Matsya as well speaks of the impersonal aspect of the Lord in the 8th canto. Quote, "You be thoroughly advised and favored by me, and because of your inquiries, everything about my glory, known as impersonal Brahman, will be manifest within your heart." Srimad Bhagavatam 8:24-38. Those with particular inquiries can consult Bhagavat Sandarbha. Enough has been said here. Digdarshani Tika 540. So in Bhagavat Sandarbha we can find more knowledge and quotes how impersonal Brahman is actually the effulgence of the personal Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also in Bhagavad Gita we have this famous verse, Brahmanohi Pratishtaham. Krishna is saying, I am actually the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So in many places, again and again, Krishna is showing how impersonal Brahman is just one of the energies of the Lord. And sometimes he's given the example like, let's say, if you see a mountain from a very big distance, the mountain, it doesn't look like any particular personal object. It's more like just a substance. But then when you come closer, you actually start seeing very particular forms. And then if you come even closer, you see personalities. There are trees, animals, so many different individualities there. So in the same way, what is hidden behind Brahman is actually personal.
Therefore, Upanishad says, Hiranmayena Bhattana.
Yes, correct. Hiranmayena Bhattana. Oh my Lord, please remove this dazzling effulgence so that I can see your face, which is behind this effulgence. So yes, many quotes that prove that actually Krishna is the origin, the source of Brahman. Text 41. Krishna's relationship to the modes. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, whose material energy Maya, consisting of the three gunas described elaborately in the Vedas, produces hundreds of universes, while he himself is pure sattva, Vishuddha sattva, which is the cause of the material sattva, which manifests his blissful form. The meaning of this verse is a little bit unclear, that's why we need the comment of the Acharyas to understand what's happening here. The previous verse represents how the Jnanis become perpetually tangled in material existence, even if they are so fortunate as to reach that state. After enjoying Brahmananda, they must fall back into the cycle of birth and death under the grip of the modes of material nature. This series of verses thus explains how Krishna is the source of pleasure to all, whether bhakta, jnani, or karmi. Jiva Goswami further elaborates on this verse. Quote, having shown the glories of Govinda's form, Brahma now shows Govinda's glory in relation to the universe in this verse and the next. This verse shows that the external energy, Maya, creates inconceivable effects within the universe and then explains that the Lord is not affected by this energy of Maya. Beyond the sattva, which is mixed with rajas and tamas, is Shuddha sattva or parasattva. But purer than that is Vishuddha sattva, functioning by the Lord's Chit Shakti. This is explained in Vishnu Purana. Quote, the material gunas of sattva, rajas and tamas do not exist in the Lord. May that person, the source of all, purer than the purest, be pleased with me. In you, who are the shelter of all spiritual qualities, exist the energies of Hladini, Sandini, and Samvit. In you, who are devoid of material qualities, the mixture of happiness and distress found in the material world does not exist.
Hladini, Sandini, Samvit, Tvai Eka Sarva Samstitau, Hlada Tapa Kali Mishra, Tvai Noguna Varjite. This is the verse from Vishnu Purana, quoted here. It's just Sanskrit.
Mm-hmm. So basically this verse explains that although material energy, with the help of the three gunas, creates such a huge variety in this world and so many different bodies of different living entities, the body of the Lord, even when the Lord comes in the material world, it's still not influenced by the three modes of material nature. Rather, it works under the influence of the spiritual energies, Hladini, Sandini, and Samvit. And that's why it's on the platform of Vishuddha Sattva.
Yeah, in Gita, Krishna says, Atma Maya. I come through Maya.
Whenever the Lord appears, even in the material world, he does not touch the material energy because he is protected by his spiritual energy.
Even the glance of the Lord, as we learned in the beginning of our studies of Brahma Samhita, is also kind of
Enveloped by his Rama potency, by the spiritual potency. So even when he looks, when he casts his glance on material energy, even the glance doesn't
Touch
directly. It is protected by yoga maya.
Okay.
Sambhavami atma maya. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Ajupisam avayatma bhutanam ishvaram bisam prakritim svam adishtaya sambhavami atma maya.
Other place in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Svayat evatmanatmanam vedatvam purushottama buddha bhavana buddhesha deva deva jagatpate. Only you can understand yourself through your spiritual energy. So the Lord is always situated in the spiritual energy, and this is the way how we can understand Him, through the mercy of spiritual energy, Shrimati Radharani. That is the proper way. There is interesting part here in the purport of Jiva Goswami. So we have the material nature, which is it's made from the three modes of material nature. Then beyond the sattva, which is mixed with rajas and tamas, is Shuddha sattva or parasattva. But purer than that is Vishuddha sattva, functioning by the Lord Chit Shakti. So apparently there are, even above material energy, there are two levels of purity. Shuddha Sattva and then Vi-Shuddha Sattva, completely pure goodness. Not sure what's exactly the difference between the two, but I guess different grades of purity. Looks like in Shuddha Sattva, although you are kind of pure, still some very subtle contamination will be there. Further details are given in Bhagavat Sandarbha, Digdarshani, Tika 541.
Something similar to the level of Baba when the subtle...
Which one? The Shuddha Sattva.
Yeah, the level of Baba when the subtle residue of anarthas may still remain. But on a level, or that means results of aparadas, offenses. But on the Prema there is no even slight traces. But
So
you can say Baba is you already liberated.
Yes.
You can say that.
So you can say Shuddha Sattva is like the Shuddha Sattva, but still some little bit differences there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Text 42. The bewilderer of the bewilderer. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, who, by appearing in the minds of the living beings to a small degree and embracing them with Madhurya Rasa, causes them to remember him, and in this way perpetually conquers the worlds by his attractive pastimes. After hearing about how the Lord pervades the universe via material energy, now we hear of his close kinship to the living entity as Paramatma. So, like very logical, we started from the spiritual world, the form of the Lord, the nature of the spiritual world, the avatars of the Lord who are connection between the spiritual and the material world, and then we started discussing Brahman effulgence, which is also kind of like the border between material and spiritual world, and now we come to the level of Paramatma, the Lord who is already present in the material world for the benefit of the living entities, to encourage the living entities to turn back towards him and to exchange loving relationships with him. So this verse is about Paramatma. Text 42, beginning Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Mathaya, gives a clue how the jivas can escape his karmic fetters. The conditioned soul is apt to be enchanted by the beauty and bliss. Rather than search outward, chasing fragments of it here and there, it can just as easily turn inward for the real thing. So instead of looking in so many different places for the original bliss that we are very much eager for, and not finding it in the material world, we can just turn inwards towards the Lord, towards our connection with Krishna, and then we can actually experience real satisfaction, real bliss, real happiness. Quote, this verse describes the complete bewilderment of this world caused by the Lord's attractive form. Govinda appears to some degree in the minds of the living entities of this world by embracing them with his Madhura Rasa. He is described as being reflected, Pratipalan, since the Lord appears within the tiny jiva as a second form, Paramatma, endowed with part of his old enchanting nature. This form causes remembrance. In this way, he conquers all persons in the world. The 5 chapters in Rasa in the Bhagavatam explain his attractive nature. Quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, then Lord Krishna a smile on his lotus face, appeared before the gopis. Wearing a garland and a yellow garment, he directly appeared as one who can bewilder the mind of Cupid. Sakshan manmata manmataha, who himself bewilders the minds of ordinary people. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:32-2. The meaning of manmataha is similar to the phrase in Kena Upanishad, chakshusha chakshu. He inspires the eye to see. Kena Upanishad 1-2. This manmataha can mean that he is the source of whatever bewilderment Cupid can cause by love. So Krishna is the attractive principle behind everything, behind every object, behind every person. But this is just a reflection of the reflection. Reflection of the enchanting powers of Paramatma, who is reflection of the original Krishna. Though the Lord acts as the cause of Cupid's powers of bewilderment through material love, material Cupid's actions are contaminated, being overcome by material influence. Digdarshani Tika 541. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives a simple formula for overcoming our attachment to gross things and experiencing the higher taste. Those who constantly recollect, in accordance with spiritual injunctions, the name, figure, attributes and pastimes of the form of Krishna appearing in the amorous rasa, whose loveliness vanquishes the god of mundane love, conqueror of all mundane hearts, are alone meditators of Krishna. Krishna, who is full of pastimes, always manifests himself with his realm only in the pure receptive cognition of such persons. The pastimes of that manifested divine realm triumphantly dominates in every way all the majesty and beauty of the mundane world. So everything that we are attracted to in this material world is just a reflection of the original beauty of Krishna. And if one understands this and try to experience even a little bit the beauty and the attractiveness of the original person, then he will start losing his taste for the material attractive things. Because he will understand, if this thing is attracting me so much, what about the original this thing, Krishna? He must be like millions of times more attractive. In 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, at the end, after Krishna describing all his great and amazing manifestations in the material world, he is saying, Atava bahunaitena kim gyatena tavarjuna vishtabhyaham idam krishnam ekam shana stito jagat. What is the use, Arjuna, to describe all these small manifestations of my power? Just with one small fraction of myself, Paramatma, I enter and maintain and exhibit all these powers. So, how greater will be the origin of this Paramatma if Paramatma presents only Eka Amshana, only one small part of the powers of the original Supreme Lord? Then what to speak of Krishna, who is the origin. So whatever we are attracted to in this material world is just a small fraction of the fraction of the Lord. So it represents very, very small percentage of the attractiveness of the Lord Himself. And this can inspire us to try to appreciate and endeavor to experience small particles of the attractiveness of the origin of all this, Krishna.
So we have to be very active in Krishna consciousness so that we can acquire by the mercy of Krishna this taste. Otherwise we'll be helplessly attracted again by Maya, sooner or later.
Yes. Because we cannot exist without being attracted by something. Either we are going to be attracted by the origin, or we are going to be attracted by the reflection of the origin. We don't have other choice. We cannot stay just in a neutral position in between the two. Not possible.
Yeah. Therefore, the Gyanis, even when they attain liberation, they have to come down.
Sooner or later, they have to.
Yeah.
Either they have to continue towards Krishna,
or
they will come back to the material world and try to enjoy the reflection of the original beauty and attraction. And then, also following the same thought, how attractive should be the name of the Lord, which is said is non-different from the Lord Himself. Binatvam namanamino. There is no difference between the name and the personality behind the name. So the name Krishna has all the potencies.
Nija Sarva Shaktis.
Yes, all the potencies of the Lord are present in the name. So this name can be as attractive as the original form of the Lord Krishna, Shyama Sundara. Just the question is to want to experience this by giving your good time and good energy of this process of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Then when Krishna is happy, He will reveal the glory of the holy name. Text 43. Okay, so this can be the last verse, and maybe this one we'll conclude for today. Golokadam. So now again progression will be shown of the different worlds. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, by whom respective powers are given to the abodes of Durga, Shiva and Vishnu, which are situated below his own planet of Goloka. Text 43 begins Goloka Namni, indicates a string of verses depicting the various offices behind the maintenance of the cosmic creation. The system of Panchopasana, progressive worship of the primary demigods, Durga, Ganesha, Surya, Shiva and Vishnu, was appropriated by Mayavadis and evolved into a type of covered impersonalism. Lord Brahma, in this connection, gives the authoritative attitude in which we should revere these personalities as subordinate agents of Krishna's potency. So we should understand that everybody under Krishna is his servant and he is subordinate to him. Everything in the world we will see is animated by these diverse personalities united in service to Govinda's sweet will. Brahma begins by giving a special breakdown of the totality of existence, placing various personalities in their respective places. Quote. This is from the purports of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The realm of Goloka stands highest above all others. Brahma, looking up to the higher position of Goloka, is speaking of the other realms from the point of view of his own realm. The first in order is this mundane world called Devidam, consisting of the 14 worlds. Satyaloka, etc. Next, above Devidam is located Shivadam, one portion of which, called Mahakala Dam, is enveloped in darkness. Interpenetrating this portion of Shivadam, there shines the Sadashiva Loka, full of great light. So we have Devidam, which is basically the material world and material universes, and then kind of on the border between material and spiritual world is this Shivadam, which apparently consists of two parts. One part is more into the material creation, and the other part is already in the spiritual world, which is mentioned here as Sadashiva Loka, full of great light. Above the same appears Haridam, or the transcendental Vaikuntha Loka. So this is already the spiritual world. The potency of Devidam in the form of the extension of Maya and that of Shiva Loka, consisting of time, space and matter, are the potency of the separated particles pervaded by the penumbral reflection of the subjective portion of the divinity. But Haridam is ever resplendent with transcendental majesty, and the great splendor of all sweetness predominates over all other majesties in Goloka. The Supreme Lord Govinda, by his own direct and indirect power, has constituted those respective potencies of those realms. So above Vaikuntha is Goloka, which is predominated by sweetness. So that's like one of the main differences between Vaikuntha and Goloka. The mood is different, with which the different devotees worship the Lord. And basically this verse is stating that this Lord Govinda, who is present in Golokadam, he is empowering the personalities and these places so that they can perform a certain functions in the maintenance and creation and destruction of the creation and the spiritual world as well. Everything is under his direction and under his control. By his own direct or indirect power, he has constituted those respective potencies of those realms. So without Krishna, nothing can exist. Jiva Goswami gives additional detail on these regions. Having spoken of the Lord's glory within the material world, Brahma speaks of Govinda's glory in his spiritual abode. The listing Devidam, Maheshadam, and then Haridam shows progressive superiority. Each succeeding place is superior because each place has half the powers of the one following. Very interesting. So each place has the half powers of the following. So Goloka is the most powerful place. And then Haridam, and the sweetest, yes. And Haridam has half of the powers of Goloka Vrindam. Then Maheshadam has half of the powers of Haridam, Vaikuntha Loka, and Devidam has half of the powers of Maheshadam or Sadashiva Loka.
And even this half, it's Maya Duratya, cannot be overcome.
It's so powerful from our perspective because we are so tiny that yes, we cannot overcome.
So the smallest, the less powerful, the least powerful of the God's creations,
we cannot overcome.
Mama Maya Duratya.
Yes.
Just forget it, you cannot overpower.
Correct. By quoting the following verse, Jiva Goswami gives support to this assertion while praising the special status of Goloka Vrindavan. O Master of the people, I, Narada Muni, desire to hear about the 12 forests of Vrindavan. If I am qualified, please tell me. Krishna then spoke. This pleasant Vrindavan is my only abode. There all cows, animals, birds, insects, and humans are without death. Those who live under my mercy come to my abode undying. The daughters of the cowhermen live in my abode. Completely giving up all connections, they serve me continually. This place, measuring 5 yojanas, is none different from my body. The Yamuna, flowing with the sweetest nectar, is the Susumna, central nerve of that body. All the devas and the elements exist there in a spiritual form. I, the embodiment of all devas, do not leave that forest for a moment, though I appear and disappear in this world age after age. But this radiant forest, full of pleasure, is invisible to the material eye. Gautamya Tantra. So very nice description of the glories of Vrindavan, who is non different from the body of the Lord, it is said here. Okay, so next time we will continue with text 44. Now, one after the other in different verses, will be described Devidam, Mahershdam, and Haridam, Vishnudam. Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande.